Hey Tumbler family, Tracy here with Trey-Magnifique Boutique. Okay, so I am starting Christmas in July. Don't hate me for it. This cup was requested, so I figured since it's one I had to do anyways, I would show you guys all of the steps. So I believe this is either a 12 or 14 ounce camper mug that I got from the Stainless Steel Depot. I prepped the cup by sanding it, wiping it off with rubbing alcohol, and then spray painting it white. Next I mix up a little epoxy, and I am using Counterculture's artist resin. I think I used like 5 to 10 mils. I just kind of poured it out on the top of the cup, and then using a nitrile glove, obviously wiping it down the sides and all over the cup to make sure the cup is completely coated. Super important that this particular layer of epoxy is as thin as you can get it. That way when you go to put the glitter on, it stays in place and it doesn't shift or move around or drip off the cup. My glitter of choice is called Bougie. It's from PDB Creative Studio. It's a multi-size mix, so it's everything from an ultra fine to a small chunky and everything in between. And oh my gosh, the sparkle and shine on this is just ridiculous. It is beyond gorgeous, and even that is an understatement. And no matter how I set the camera, this is one that truly needs to be seen in person to appreciate its real beauty. So now I'm just going to grab another glove, and I am going to pat it down just to make sure the glitter is laying as flat as possible to help decrease the likelihood of little pokey spots sticking up, so I'm not having to add as many layers of epoxy and then not having to sand as much in between as well. Once the base glitter dried for a couple of hours, I did put 1 to 2 thin layers of epoxy on there, and I honestly didn't have to sand at all. So that horse-drawn sleigh ride image that you see there on the counter that I did as a clear water slide is going to be the main focus of the cup. And so I just took regular copy paper and just made a template the same size of it and taped it on there, just so I knew roughly where not to put the snowflakes that I'm going to be using as a stencil, as this cup is going to be done as a peekaboo. And so for the snowflakes themselves, I found a file on Etsy that I liked and bought it, and then just made repeating patterns of it in 3 different sizes. The largest ones on the far right side of the paper are set at 1.5 inches. The small ones in the middle, which I ended up not using, are actually 3/4 inch, and then the medium sized ones on the left side of the paper there are set at just 1 inch. And so as I'm putting them on here, I'm just obviously alternating back and forth between the larger ones and the medium sized ones, and just randomly placing them. I'm trying not to do too much of a pattern, but I do want several of them on there because, again, I want as much of that beautiful bougie glitter peeking through as possible. Once all the decals were on, I took the cup outside, obviously like you see here, and now I'm just going to spray paint the whole thing white. My paint of choice is the Rust-Oleum brand, and I believe this is the Ultra Matte. I'm also going to use the Rust-Oleum Aqua. It's a very pretty light blue, and I'm going to try to just spray it around the top and the bottom of the cup. Basically what I'm wanting to do is ombre the spray paint. You'll see here I did get a little more blue than what I wanted, so that's a super simple fix. I'm just going to take the white and go right back around the middle of that cup again. So one thing I forgot to do before I took the cup outside to spray paint it, and I didn't realize until I brought the cup back inside, was to tape off the handle. I didn't want to spray paint the handle. I wanted that to just be the regular bougie glitter, just so there was a fun visual difference between the rest of the cup and the handle. So super simple fix, but I wanted you guys to see the process anyways. So I'm just taking a little acetone and wiping the handle down. The acetone really starts to loosen up the paint, and then I'll take the rubbing alcohol and really clean it up afterwards until it's nice and sparkly and you see the bougie glitter again. Aha! So, smart me remembered to place a small piece of tape around the top and bottom of the handle on this next part. It's not necessary to tape off the entire thing, and in all honesty, I probably didn't need to tape it off because as you can see there, I've got some tacket on the counter, which means I'm going to be using a paintbrush. So in theory, I should be able to control where my paintbrush goes. But anyways, as far as the tacket itself, there's a few different ways to utilize it. Some people like using it straight, just like you would Mod Podge. Some people like diluting it 50-50. I just like adding a couple drops of water and barely diluting it. So my reasonings behind it is using it straight, just like Mod Podge. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit thicker, and if you don't apply it correctly, it's going to have a little bit of streaks in it. It's going to be ridgy. And so if you try to apply glitter over that while it's streaky and or ridgy, you're going to see that in the glitter, and epoxy won't hide that. In diluting it 50-50, I have found that I end up having to put multiple layers of the tacket on there because it's just not sticky enough to really grab hold of the glitter that I need it to be. So in barely diluting it with a couple of drops of water, it thins it out just enough that I can apply it streak free, so I don't have to worry about that, and then I'm also not having to add multiple layers. Once the tacket was dry and ready to be glittered, I wanted to use something that was very iridescent. So I grabbed PDB's Virginish, like you see here, and I had ordered this one in an extra fine, and oh my gosh, y'all, let me tell you how fine this glitter is. This glitter is so fine, it makes Tinkerbell's pixie dust look like a large chunky mix. This was flying everywhere. All I could see was sparkles in the air, and it was beautiful, and I loved it, and I cannot wait to use this again. So anyways, obviously I'm just going to cover the entire cup in it, and then I'm going to start burnishing it down. So I'm just going to take my fingers and rub until the entire thing is nice and smooth. For this next part, as you see, I did switch over to Mod Podge instead of using more tacket, just because I'm not going to be using a burnishing effect for this next part. I'm just going to be applying glitter. The glitter of choice for this one, again, is another PDB glitter. They're kind of my glitter obsession place to buy from. And this glitter is called Cold Shoulder. So it's a really light blue iridescent one as well. And the combination of this one and the Virginish, oh my goodness, it is spot on chef kiss to this combination. In being careful where I place the Mod Podge, no different than the spray paint, I wanted an ombre type effect, so I'm trying to keep the cold shoulder mostly just on that blue area. And then again, no different than we did with the bougie. Once I have it all on there, I'm just going to take my finger and pat it down just to make sure it's nice and smooth. I removed the tape off of the top and bottom of the handle, and now it's time to go through and take off all of the stencils to let that beautiful bougie sparkle through. Here I have some outlines or offsets, whichever you want to refer to them as, for the larger snowflakes only. Absolutely, you can do the smaller ones. I just opted to do the larger snowflakes. The vinyl that I'm using is a textured metallic vinyl that I believe is the Cricut brand. This is pretty much the only thing Cricut-wise that I use is this particular vinyl or the holographic vinyl. So, to me, this is probably the most important part of the tutorial, okay? I have the video very much sped up for time purposes, but I did take my time to meticulously place these outlines. My OCD is showing. In fact, my close friends like to tease me that I am so OCD, it needs to be CDO, just so the letters are in alphabetical order. But to me, this is something that makes the difference between just a good-looking tumbler and an outstanding tumbler, okay? So this is very much a learned skill, but I want to encourage everybody, take the time, learn how to do this, because the payoff is so worth it. Since this cup is so light in nature and there's not a lot of contrast, I just wanted to sit it on the counter for a second and give it a quick spin just to give you guys a side view shot of it so you could really see how the glitter and the outlines look. Now we finally get to add our horse-drawn sleigh ride image. I'm cutting out another one since I lost the other one I had earlier, but that's okay. So this is printed on a clear water slide decal paper, so it's okay to just cut close to the image. It does not have to be spot on like it would if I was using a white water slide decal paper. So now I'm just going to let it soak for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then I'm going to apply it to the cup. Once that backing is loose, here I am obviously applying it. My only issue with this image is it's a perfectly round image, and the cup bows out there in the center, so it does make it a little bit difficult to put it on there without having some creasing. So it's a little bit hard to see in the video, but I am slightly stretching the image in all directions, just trying to get rid of the creases and air bubbles out from underneath. So my tip for this would be, in your computer, edit the image so it's elongated. It's more oval shaped as opposed to a perfectly round shape. That'll make it so much easier to apply to this type of particular cup. I made a very risky decision on the last little bit of this video just because I was so excited to try to get it done for you guys that I basically skipped some steps. So since I was so silly and did it to myself and made myself struggle a whole lot more than necessary, I'm gonna let you guys watch me struggle and I'll explain what I did. So after putting on the horse-drawn sleigh ride image, I should have put a layer of epoxy over the cup. That would have saved 99.9% of my struggle. But I tried to seal it down with the Minwax poly coating stuff. My next issue was I did not realize that I was out of transfer paper. So I had clear packing tape on hand, which, albeit you can use in a pinch, however, it is way too tacky. So I actually had to touch it to my clothes 500,000 times to try to dull some of the tackiness on it. It did work enough to obviously pick up my vinyl letters here, but because I had only sealed the image down with the polyacrylic and not the epoxy like I should have, I was worried that the tape would pull the image up. So I tried to cut out the center there, which made the tape very floppy. And so that made it a struggle to try to align on here just right as well. I got it, but it was not without difficulty, that's for sure. All right, here it is in epoxy. I think it turned out rather cute despite my little struggle there at the end. I really enjoyed bringing you guys this tutorial, so you guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, follow, share, all of the above. Love you, Tumbler family. I'll catch you next time.